I'm Jake Miller from the Educational Duct Tape Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect those of others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Coming up on episode 188 of the House of EdTech Podcast, I'm going to talk about 10 must-have Chrome extensions right here in 2021. Strike up the band. Welcome to the House of EdTech. My name is Chris Nesi, and I've been helping educators like you transform education by exploring the impact technology is having on education since 2007. The House of EdTech launched in 2014, giving me the opportunity to speak with teachers, leaders, and creators so you can more effectively integrate technology, strengthen your pedagogy, and have more confidence in your classroom and school so you can make an impact. Get involved with the show by visiting chrisnesi.com. And using technology isn't difficult, and this is where it begins. This is the House of EdTech. And here we go. This is episode 188 of the House of EdTech podcast. Thank you for making this podcast a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. Very excited. Have a very fun episode for you because who doesn't like a good Chrome extension? Before we get to that, though, a couple of news, notes, highlights, shout-outs, whatever you want to call it. First, the 2021 House of EdTech Smackdown. This will be Smackdown numero 8 is coming your way on December 26th, 2021. And I'm going to need your submission for the Smackdown by December 18th. That's right, your submission. This is my last episode of the calendar year. And this is where I turn the show over to you to share what you are enjoying, loving, your tips, your tricks, your apps, something ed-techy, something educational that you want to share here in the final episode of the calendar year. It is always a fun episode to put together, and I'm already starting to get submissions. So again, you want to make sure you submit to me by December 18th, 2021. And you can email me. You can go to chrisnesi.com/feedback. Or you can check out the new chrisnesi.com/voicemail, where you can send an audio message. And because this is an audio podcast, I would greatly prefer to get audio messages. Because as I like to say, if you send me an email, you take your chances as to what the impression I do of you is going to sound like. So get those voicemails to me by December 18th. And I look forward to bringing you the 8th House of EdTech Smackdown on December 26th, 2021. Also, you heard Jake Miller's voice at the very start of this episode for the EPN bumper that I include at the top of the episode. And I want to give an awesome shout out to Jake Miller from the Educational Duct Tape Podcast, because Jake is in the midst of his worldwide book tour, virtual as it may be. But I want to give some props and congratulations to Jake for the release of his book, Educational Duct Tape and EdTech Integration Mindset. This is your guide to selecting the right tools for your classroom. So congratulations on the book, Jake. Hope to have Jake here on the podcast before the end of the year. You know how it is to be a teacher and a podcaster. It takes some time to get the schedules and the stars to align, but we will make that happen, and we will have some crossover here on the podcasts. And I will, of course, include a link to Jake's book out at chrisnesi.com/188. So make sure you pick up a copy on Amazon. Now, let's get into this episode's EdTech Thought. There's more than one way. I'm often asked for recommendations about the best EdTech tools. I was recently interviewed on a soon-to-be-launched podcast, and once again, this question came up, and I don't know if I've ever shared my thoughts in detail on this question or topic. I've said a few times on the House of EdTech that I'm not a fan of ambassador programs and the certification programs that are offered by many EdTech companies, especially any that you have to pay for. I'm not a fan of the self-promotion and badges and everything else that goes along with these things either. Now, I am supportive of learning about a tool I'm passionate about. I am into exploring the ins and outs of the technology. That's certainly my kind of thing, to get my hands dirty and dive into these tools. The reason I say this is because I'm not married to any one brand or specific set of tools. I'm not beholden to having to speak a certain way about a tool and or its value. I am free to share my opinion, positive or negative, when I do share anything specific. I'd like to recommend you consider the same approach. Don't box yourself into a corner or put on blinders to the variety of options that do exist out there. Does this mean you need to learn and become an expert in every EdTech tool out there? No, but always be open to the existence of other tools for your benefit and the benefit of your students. One example I'd like to offer, and this is a classic example at this point, the old Google versus Microsoft. Microsoft had a strong hold on business and education until Google came along. There was a brief crossover period where you might have students and teachers working in both environments. But now it seems like a school district has to be one or the other. And I think that does a disservice, mainly to students. I'd like to see more districts and schools be more agnostic and expose students and allow teachers to use as many platforms as possible. And this will ultimately empower students to be able to make their own decisions about the tools for their tech toolbox. Just like we as educators should be flexible and have a variety of tools at our disposal. What do you think? What would you like to see with regard to what tools we learn and share? What are your thoughts on EdTech company ambassador programs? Maybe I'm not seeing the benefits of being a volunteer cheerleader. Let me know. Send me an email, feedback@chrisnessy.com, or go to chrisnessy.com/feedback or chrisnessy.com/voicemail, and let me know your thoughts on ambassadorships, being, cheerleaders for these companies, and, maybe pigeonholing yourself into one specific set of tools. What are your thoughts? That's what's on my mind, which makes it my EdTech Thought. Now let's dive into this episode's featured content, and I want to talk about some new must-have Chrome extensions for teachers here in 2021. Now, the last time I did an episode like this, it was episode 126, which you can find the show notes and give it a listen at chrisnessy.com/126. Some highlights from that episode, and these are certainly still some Chrome extensions that I use and endorse and am certainly still a fan of, while others have fallen by the wayside. But here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I feel are still worthwhile, and then I'm going to talk about a whole bunch more. First, the Bitmoji Chrome extension. I love Bitmoji. Thank you all the way back to Danny Kennis, who turned me on to Bitmoji, and I've been a fan ever since, both personally and professionally, and the Bitmoji Chrome extension is a great way to get Bitmojis into your emails, to drag and drop just the perfect Bitmoji into your Google slide presentation or your Google Doc, or just being able to choose from the extension, being able to right click and save a PNG and drop it into just about any other program and upload it and use it wherever you want. So that's a great way to access Bitmoji right on your desktop. Number 2, the Nimbus Screenshot and Screen Recorder. Now, I will be honest, I primarily use the screenshot feature because I can screenshot what is visible in the browser. I can do a specific selection, or I can do a select and scroll, and then I can annotate an image. So I like it more for the screenshot capability. The next thing I'm going to talk about is more what I use for screen recording. So that would be, and this is a twofer, Screencastify I enjoy because my district pays for it, and I also am a fan of Loom, which was not on the original list. So Screencastify and Loom for screen recording. I'm pretty sure that with Loom, you can still get a free pro account as an educator using your teacher email. Otherwise, you're relying on Screencastify either to pay for it yourself, or maybe your school or your district is paying for Screencastify. But those are my two video screen capturing tools that I like. Next up, two classics, AdBlock Plus and AdBlock for YouTube. Certainly clean up the ads on web pages, and certainly clean up the ads that can become a bit of a nuisance on YouTube. So definitely those two. And of course, Grammarly. Again, I'm not an English teacher. I recommend it to students. I use it. I take the suggestions 90% of the time. And Grammarly is certainly, I don't know that it's made me a better writer, but it's allowed me to find the mistakes in my writing when I'm writing. So I have it for Chrome. I use it in Microsoft Office. I use it in Google Docs. So wherever I can use Grammarly, I'm trying to make myself the best possible writer. Okay, so those are 6-7 things that are holdovers from episode 126. And now here are some new Chrome extensions that I think are valuable and should be a part of your Chrome arsenal. Yeah, we're going to get tough with this episode. So first up, talked about it a lot previously on the podcast, Mote, M-O-T-E. Get the Mote extension. Use Mote in general for fast, friendly voice messaging. If you're not familiar, Mote lets you easily add voice comments and audio content to shared documents, assignments in Google Classroom, emails. You can use it on Google Forms. So that makes it super easy. The Chrome extension lets you also record audio that you can place in other places. So that allows you to create notes for any website or application directly from the Chrome extension menu. All you have to do is click on the browser icon to access their Notepad recorder. So jump on the Mote Chrome extension. Next up is the print-friendly and PDF. If you ever need to save a page in a print-friendly format, such as a PDF, you can easily do so with the print-friendly and PDF Chrome extension. This extension removes the ads and other cluttering elements from a web page to turn it into a pleasant reading experience. You can also delete images and change the text size. I used this just the other day in conjunction with Wakelet, where some websites that I should have taken the time to see if they worked on student Chromebooks, the websites did not work on student Chromebooks due to filtering. So I was able to turn the articles from a couple of websites into PDF files and make the PDF files of the articles easily accessible to my students on a Wakelet collection. So little app smash there for you. Print friendly and PDF. Next up, record to slides. This allows you to record videos and automatically load them into the slide you are on. You can use the video icon in the upper right-hand corner to add video to your slide. Super cool to add some multimedia to your slides presentations. Next up, Web Paint. If you ever watch sports or you see football where they annotate the screen, this is by far one of the easiest annotation screen tools that I've seen. So if you're sharing into a meeting, if you just need to make a visual annotation, this allows you to draw shapes, lines, add text on live web pages, and take a screenshot. So a nice little annotation tool. So if you're projecting something in your classroom or you are sharing your screen for students to see in a Google Meet, this is a great way to highlight things, circle things, identify things, and certainly then save it after the fact. So Web Paint provides easy drawing tools that let you draw shapes, lines to live web pages, and it is also touch screen supported. So if you want to give your students access to this and have them annotate things on the screen and use their fingers, certainly really easy to do. Next up, we have Auto Text Expander. So if you're tired of remembering links, email addresses, lengthy phrases, or you feel like you're constantly sending the same responses in email or maybe in the comments, Auto Text Expander allows you to set up short code commands, where, for example, if I, instead of typing out be right back all the time, we type out BRB, but if I wanted somebody to actually see be right back, every time I typed in BRB, it would automatically expand the text out to the full phrase. So that could be great if you, need to type your email address into something, or just any lengthy response, or again, feedback, phrases you use, common things that you might tell a student on their work. You can set these expanded phrases up and use them inside of Chrome. So you can save time, you can avoid typos, and you get the satisfaction of going back to things you love most in your day. So this is completely free, and it's also ad-free. And this is the Auto Text Expander. Next up, this is app for Instagram. So if you've ever wondered how to use Instagram directly on your computer. Now, the way that I've previously done this is by going to the Instagram website and right-clicking in Chrome and doing inspect, and then you can kind of interact with the website in a mobile layout. This just does it for you without pulling up the code and getting the extra windows on your screen. It's a set of the most useful features on Instagram. You get access to your DMs, you can upload stories, IGTV, screen capture, and much more. The iconic layout of the mobile Instagram is in your browser. You simply click the button and get all the features of the mobile app. Again, direct messages are fully supported. You can upload your IGTV videos from your Mac or your PC or your Chromebook. You can make screenshots from Instagram and you can share it with friends. And you get the convenient layout for a better experience, just like you do on your phone, except now you can do it on your computer. The main goal of this extension is for your experience to be better and easy. Again, it's one click in your browser, and it makes the Instagram on your computer the mobile-like version. So I've been having a lot of fun with that, and certainly creating content for the podcast and putting things online is much easier with this Chrome extension. Next up, you might find this to be more useful in your day-to-day activities in your classroom, and this is the Random Student Generator. So with this extension, you can select a random student from your Google Classroom by clicking a simple button, and you can certainly keep all of your students engaged during a particular lesson. Using your classes that are set up in Google Classroom, you can quickly select a random student using this extension, whether it be for answering questions in the classroom, drawing prizes, or a tool to ensure that all of your students are engaged. It couldn't be simpler. Students' images can be disabled if your class is shy, and so you don't have to project it, and you can just display them as, little robot icons. Now, this extension is currently in beta, but it is improving all the time. If you experience any bugs, they appear to just say, reach out to us, and they will do their best to get the bugs fixed. Next up, for you more visual folks, and maybe you're like me where you can't change the wallpaper on your school laptop or your device. So how do you make it look pretty when you're projecting it? Chrome extension is called Earth View. This Chrome extension might not make your browsing experience easier, but it will make it prettier. You can broaden your geography skills while surfing the web at the same time with Earth View by Google. Each time you open a new tab, the first thing you'll see is a satellite image of a beautiful location somewhere right here on Earth. See some of the images that pop up on new tabs by clicking on the link in the show notes, and you can see the extension. They've got some great examples of pictures you might see. And this is Earth View. Next up is the Chrome extension called Homey, Homey. Homey is a relaxing and uncluttered new tab Chrome extension that turns your new tab page into a dashboard. Remember the old days of was it iGoogle? I don't even remember what it's called, where you had widgets on your screen when you opened up the Google homepage when you were logged in. Well, this kind of brings that back. So you can see your city's weather, you can access your bookmarks, or you can create a grid with your most visited websites. Alternatively, you can keep the dashboard clean and mess-free for a less overwhelming experience. Like most new tab Chrome extensions, it also gives you access to the search engine of your choice, which will probably just be Google. Next up is Giphy for Chrome. Giphy for Chrome. Everybody loves an animated GIF. They make emails, blogs, and social media posts engaging and funny. And with this extension, you can easily grab your favorite GIF from Giphy's huge database for whatever content you're working on without navigating away from it. Now, I'd like to use it at school, but it's blocked. But maybe it's not blocked for you. Next up, and I got a 50-50 shot of saying this right, so I'm going to say Difree, Difree. Now, sometimes it's hard to free yourself of distractions to write productively, especially if you're writing online. This extension quickly opens a new tab that has a clean, minimalistic, and neutral text editor that auto-saves while you're working if you need a break from where you normally write. So check these out. Once again, let me recap them all for you. And if you swipe left, right, up, down in your podcast player of choice, or if you visit chrisnessy.com/188, I will have a link to all of these Chrome extensions for you. But again, we talked about Mote, print-friendly in PDF, record to slides, web paint, auto text expander, app for Instagram, the random student generator, EarthView, Homey, Giphy for Chrome, and Difree. So definitely check these out. If there are other Chrome extensions that you think are super valuable for educators, send me an email, feedback@chrisnessy.com, or go to chrisnessy.com/voicemail. And hey, you know what? Maybe you consider sending in your favorite Chrome extensions for the House of EdTech Smackdown. There's an idea. So I look forward to hearing from you. All right, this part of the show, this is Just Give It a Try, and I want to use this episode to remind you of our November question of the month, where I want to know, what are you thankful for? What are you thankful for in life, in your career? Share your thoughts with me by Friday, October 29th, 2021, and I will include your responses in episode 189 that's going to come your way on November 7th. chrisnessy.com/feedback, chrisnessy.com/voicemail, and let's hear your thoughts. What are you thankful for as we get into that oh so magical time of the year? And I look forward to sharing what I'm thankful for as well. Thank you for listening to this episode of House of EdTech. If you're not subscribed or following, I hope you'll continue to make this podcast a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. I want to know what Chrome extensions you are loving and using, so make sure you keep the conversation going and share your thoughts on this episode or whatever is in your mind as it relates to education and technology. You can leave a comment on the show notes for this episode by visiting chrisnessy.com/188. You can also send me an email at chrisnessy.com/feedback, or you can send a voicemail using the new voicemail feature on my website, chrisnessy.com/voicemail. Now, if you enjoy the House of EdTech podcast, do me a favor. Number one, first and foremost, this is the absolute best thing you can do. If you do nothing else that I ever ask you to do, do this. Tell somebody else about the podcast. Word of mouth is the best way to share a podcast you love, or one that you even think is mediocre, which you might love this, you might think this is mediocre. It's up to you. But tell somebody. Let somebody else be the judge. You can also become an awesome supporter of the podcast. I am very thankful for the ongoing financial support from the following people: Anthony Arnaud, Dan Gallagher, Carlos Garza, Peggy George, Jeff Herb, Mike Messner, Matt Miller, JP Presavento, Patty Reefus, Lori Simpson, and Kyle Wilcox. If you're getting value from this podcast, you too can become an awesome supporter by visiting chrisnessy.com/awesome. And a thank you very much to Patreon for making this possible, because Patreon allows a consumer of content like you to support a creator of content like me. Now, the next episode of the podcast is going to be episode 189, and that's going to come your way on November 7th, 2021. So there we go. This is fun. Now, I'm going to save this here for the end, but I have produced this podcast with a new setup. I am now on a 27-inch Retina 5K iMac. I've got the sound effects going, so if you noticed anything different, now's the time to let me know. If you didn't notice anything different, let me know as well, because again, I'm always trying to get better at what I do. Until next time, thank you for learning with me, and remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try.